Hello, everyone. Greetings. We're on the healing session, episode 3. And we have Nick and Lonnie here to walk us through our session for today. All right, blessings. All right. Nick.
Hi, I'm Lonnie.
I'm Nick.
Today we're going to talk about the higher dimensional self. It comprises of the higher self, the astral self in two sections, the lower astral self, right, and the higher astral self, and then lastly the oversoul. And disclaimer, we're only going through what's the normal experience for most people here. By no means is like the only, like, how do you explain it? By no way, this is like the only way to go about the higher dimensional self. There's other means too, but it's just not very common. Maybe one day we'll go over that.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to really kind of just hit the first generalization, the first layers of what is above this thing, this thing called our head, our crown. What's all going on up here? What parts of us are up here? And how decisions and agreements and contracts with our higher dimensional selves affect the physical. Now, there are some exceptions to the rules. There are some outliers to the material that we'll go over today. We can discuss those at another time in a different video. But we mainly want to discuss today and get a pretty good understanding of the higher dimensional self, really from towards the end of last session, where Archangel Michael was sharing how soul agreements, soul contracts, and how these can override things and steer things in certain ways when the human self can get very aggravated or annoyed, or not trying to manifest something and not realize that there are other things at play, other things working. Yeah. So that's really what we wanted to talk about today.
Okay. And we'll also go into another video, or Nick will, to explain further more about the higher dimensional self.
All right, sounds good. So bring in somebody, entity.
Yes. Yeah, we'll leave it open for whoever wishes to come through and connect.
I have an idea of that, and we'll just see where all this goes. It's going to go in different directions too.
Okay.
There'll be some surprises there from what I'm gathering from what is around. So, all right.
Oh my God.
Blessings. Here we go.
Right. Take a guess. Higher self. No.
Greetings to you. This is the Prime Creator.
Greetings, Prime Creator.
Blessings, Prime Creator. Thank you for all of your assistance. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for coming through.
Greetings to you. Yes, your higher dimensional self is multi-layered. Many of you are connected to several versions of you, of yourselves, of 5 to 10 versions of you that are parallel dimensions. Of course, there are many more. And many do you pull from 5 to 10 versions in this incarnation, at least. Now, some do pull from thousands. But I'll let you go on with your questions when you are ready.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Prime Creator. Our main intention for today is to really explain the basics of the layers, such as the higher self, astral self, what versions of the astral self are being present, the soul, the oversoul, some of the layers above it. That's really what we wanted to go over and get a general understanding of today. And where in the layers do soul contracts and soul agreements really get made and, I guess, trickle down to the physical?
So pretty much how does the higher dimensional self affect us?
Yeah, it is your true self, your higher self. Yes, you have other versions of your higher self. Your oversoul is basically just energy. Of course, some beings will disagree with that, but it is just an essence. It's just vibration. Of course, you are energy, but you go into more form as you trickle down into your oversoul, your higher self energy. Your higher self is truly where everything is put together. It is basically you can call it your main self, but you also have other versions of you from other realities, once again, assisting you constantly. So this soul is connected to your higher self. Your oversoul is all of your heart, everybody. And it's just like little trinkets of energies. It's not that fancy, depending on where perspective. But your higher self is really where everything happens. Your timelines are created through other energies, through other beings. I mean, many of your souls here, you all kind of get together and create your timelines together. This is why you're connected to this person at this timeline, at this age. It's like, I don't want to run into this person until I'm 30 years old or 40 years old, or have a real relationship till you're 50 years old. All that comes into the combined energies of souls that are here. They all kind of, grab onto each other to experience this life.
So is it the higher self, the one that communicates with other higher selves
Yes.
to assist in the physical?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And that higher self agreement or that higher self communication is for both positive charged experiences and negative charged experiences for soul growth.
Well, even your higher self can get, you have multiple higher selves. You even have a higher self that you don't even connect to usually. That's on the side that you're mostly connected to. So you have other versions of you too that you're involved with higher self energies that you connect to. So if people want to connect to your higher self, we have multiple. Your main higher self basically is really where you're bringing all your information from, but you're connected to several different versions to learn from how they would live in this world too. So you're kind of making it more complicated. So some do, some don't. Some just, they incarnate, they live their blissful life, they leave. But others kind of make it more complicated, as you can see. But the reason they make their spiritual world so complicated so they can recognize it. So yes, you might have spirit guides that are not very good. Oh, you got your attention, didn't it? That was the idea.
So since we're talking a little about spirit guides right now, the higher self, are they pretty much a spirit guide?
You're technically a guide to yourself, yes, but you're mostly out of the picture. You allow your guides to guide you, and you do kind of override them when the time's right, but not always. And some higher selves do get lazy. It's like if you're going through a tough spot in your life, and your higher self's like, "Oh, I'll survive it. I've been through the Black Plague. I can get through this." It's like,
Thank you for that, Prime Creator.
Yes.
There are times in sessions when I'll be blocked from someone else's higher self, or get a little. I won't be able to see them, or I'll get like a little bit of a resistance. Does that mean that, I don't know, my higher self and their higher self didn't exactly connect or communicate prior to the session? Or what would cause a little bit of interference or friction on the higher self communicating level?
Well, yes, you can just have disagreements with your higher self, where some want to get healing, but they're not always ready to receive. And their higher self's not really ready for this. It's better just to go out in the world and get third dimensioned up, basically, until they're ready. Because, yes, they might receive a healing, but it doesn't really, as you are aware, it does not stick with them. It's kind of like, what's the point of it? I mean, yes, it does. There are some cases where the higher self can get also be a stick in the mud, where the higher self isn't talking to the being anymore. It's all kinds of
Wow.
pieces there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Prime Creator.
Thank you.
There's other times, other circumstances where I've seen, I guess, where in the layers can, whether it be the higher self, whether it be the soul, the oversoul, or maybe even Gaia, that will override timelines or override experiences. So, like, where does the overriding come from? Because I've seen that quite a bit, where an individual will, working with certain things or working with a spell work or ritual, whatever it may be, but the circumstance will be overwritten. Where does that source come from?
But there are different areas and come from your higher self. They can also go above your oversoul, because their oversoul is basically just energy. It is, yes, you, but when you connect to the higher dimensions, it can get kind of dull in the higher regions. You also go to an area that's called, of course, everyone has their own name for it, but your soul self, more like your source, your main source. You can call it whatever you want, but that your main source connects with Gaia, overrides your timelines here. It's kind of like your oversoul isn't always the most active. It is kind of, some might call it your dull side of you, because it's just energies and it's at a higher dimension. It doesn't really care about this reality that much. It realizes it's just an experience. It's kind of like just home, but you're like, all the action is here. Might not seem like in this reality, but this is where your adventure is really on this world. And when you go into incarnations, that's really where the action is. The spirit world can get kind of dull. That's why everybody incarnates all the time, keeps creating, but it's really from your soul self is where it comes down to. And that is just frustration from the guides. That's what frustration comes down. It's like, okay, you guys aren't doing anything, we're making a change. So
Interesting.
So where does the soul self lie between the higher self, astral self, and oversoul?
it is above your oversoul.
Oh,
It is like connecting to source energy, God energy, your God self, basically. That technically is where all the fun is, basically. It is above astral. Of course, some might disagree with that, but it is really where your mastermind all your existence, your everything. And that can be split up. That can be done in all different areas. It's everybody has different perspectives, of course.
I see. Thank you for that, Prime Creator. I know we've in Ivan's videos and even in some private sessions talk about the astral self, and how the astral self is kind of in its own reality, and
Yes.
its own exchanging and its own communicating its own work. How is that astral self different than when someone astral projects? From my experience, I've seen where it's kind of really two layers, like a higher layer and a lower layer to the astral versions of people. One that someone's consciously astral projecting, and then one where their astral version of them or astral copies are out doing all kinds of crazy things.
Yes.
And the physical self has no idea, is not conscious of the activity that's happening. What is the distinction between the two, and how do they operate?
There are several versions of your astral self. As you explained, there's one that you're conscious of. That's when you do an astral projection. It's also the one you're doing remote viewing. It's all kind of connected together. Some might disagree with that. But also you go into your astral self. Your soul is basically connected to your astral self. You're always an astral. And there's other versions of your astral self that are multi-plural realities of astral. So there can be 1,000 versions of astral self. So it's like, what's one that wants to speak right now? You're always wanting to be a part and experience this reality. It's a hard one, but also creates new connections. So if you can get through this world, you can get through anything, basically. So it's not meant to be easy here, as you can see.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Prime Creator. So in essence, really kind of towards the end of our previous session where Archangel Michael was sharing about how, yeah, we have free will, but agreements and contracts and soul communication and astral overrides can affect or interfere with the physical experience or the 3D experience. Like, what is it really all happening up here first, prior in an exchange, a relationship, a job, circumstance, whatever, and that all that's calling the shots before it comes down into the physical?
Yes, it's already. Yes, many have difficulties believing, but everything's already in place before you're in. I mean, technically, if you really want to go into it, your timeline is already created with a single thought. Now, you're already connected with other beings. So in your mind, think of your spiritual self. You're just minding your own business, flying around, talking to somebody on Jupiter or whatever it might be, and you're creating your timeline for Earth. Like you're sitting at a bar with friends, talking about whatever it might be. And you create your timeline, like that group of friends, you create that timeline for Earth. It's like, hey, by the way, it's like some of you are talking about, oh, I just bought a big screen TV or this and that. Well, in the spirit world, I just created a timeline on Earth. You guys want to go and experience that? Yeah, so we go.
I can add you into my timeline.
I see.
Imagine how that conversation goes. And think about it, it's very simplistic, just like you're going to a bar, basically.
So it's kind of like writing a story.
Yes. You do multiple stories. Remember, that dimension, even your astral self, even your astral self can be creating multi-dimensions like in a second or even quicker than that. And they can be very complicated very quickly.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
your job, you have this, that card, you have all the details because you're connected to the energies of those that are around you. And so you just instantly put it together. So you're putting in versions of it. It's like, hey, you want to go to Earth? No. Okay, I'll take you out of there. Else want to be added to that spot. Of course, more goes into it when you begin this incarnation, but you're kind of putting the blueprint of it together.
So is it your higher self that's putting this blueprint together, or your astral self, overself, soul self?
Your astral self, your soul self, it all kind of intercombines. So it's all your energies, all of them can be doing something differently. So you kind of like combine it for an Earth incarnation on this version of Earth. You like this version of Earth's 164x, whatever you want to call it. It's like, okay, I chose this version of Earth at this certain time, and this astral self had a good idea. So I'll put this in my oversoul, we'll put that together, and we'll improve upon. It's like you come up with an idea for a script for a movie, right? An outline. So you put it together, and then you add on it. Then you add your actors to it, and you just build upon it for your Earth incarnation on that version of Earth. Remember, you have billions of different versions, so you have to be really specific.
Oh wow!
Interesting.
And thank you for that,
Yes.
Prime Creator. So it's when now the human 3-dimensional version that's living out these experiences and experiencing all this, it was already all lined up, played out, and written.
Yes.
Past lifetime, 5 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, over the course of the lifetimes. Is that and my assumption is even future lifetimes have gotten written 10 lifetimes ago, and it just keeps kind of it's like a revolving time, lives and timelines and whatnot.
Yes. Well, look at give you a little bit more. Say like 500 years ago. Remember, it was all done in a second. So you have an incarnation on Earth right now. So your higher self's like, okay, I'm improving, sort of, not really. So it's like, what other version of me would be better for this Earth? It's like, oh, there's a feminine version of me, for example. So you take that timeline you're putting together that you did in a second. So you're learning from what your incarnation is. You kind of know where things are going to go because, humans are, they're not that hard to predict, basically. You get one, A, B, or C. It's your decisions. It's not that difficult. It is not going to be that significant. Even if it does, it'll just alter your future incarnation. So 500 years ago, you take different versions of you, like a feminine version, a female version of you, a male version of you. And it all seems like it's all you. It is, but it's another version of you. So it's like, like Ivan, this is a tall version of him. You have a short version of him or incarnate. But you're all connected to each other. And there's just as much more you can go into. But 500 years ago, you're kind of putting all your timelines together of what incarnation was going to do on this planet, on this version of Earth. And you're just instantly putting it all together. And of course, many of you are erasing a lot of those lifetimes. It's like, maybe that's not the best idea. But
Yeah.
from that perspective, this Earth is significant for knowledge, for humans' souls become leaders in other dimensions, to become presence of this world or other worlds. You can be working at McDonald's, and then the next life you'd be president in a Palladian world. It all depends. So that's why every life matters. No matter what, janitors can become, not to say president matters, but just to put that out there. It's like everybody, you're learning different levels, and there's no small, incarnation here. They're all a big deal.
That's pretty important to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that, Prime Creator. Is there a circumstance or is there a scenario where one soul incarnates into two physical human bodies, maybe not at the same time, but in separate amounts of time, and still be incarnated a lot? Like one's a 10-year-old version and another one's like a 50-year-old version. It's the same soul, but in two different physical bodies born at two different times. Is that possible?
Yes, it is very significant. Usually it's done, some souls do it 5, 6 versions of them if it's allowed, and it's for your highest good. And usually the soul's signature is so different you won't be able to pick up on your other versions of you. Like if you're here, it's like, wow, I feel like I'm in South America right now for some bizarre reason. Now, sometimes you might feel that energy, but they're very careful to make sure that it's like you're living in Florida, now you want to live in Africa for some reason. And you're becoming very obsessed over it, and you go there, it's like, why am I here now? So you got to be careful, like turn down the satellite connection. So yes, there's many souls that have many versions of themselves here. It was mostly done in the past, but it's still going on today. Even those that are lovers, like you can have a boyfriend or girlfriend, it's another version of you, basically.
Would you still have like the same higher self though, if that's the case, or?
No, it'll be different. You'll have different, it'll be of that version of it. There will be different higher selves. For some cases, there'll be the same one. It all depends.
Oh, okay.
There are some that do have the same higher self, yes.
That's so interesting.
Can two higher selves or two higher dimensional selves incarnate into one physical body? Like, does that happen in this version of Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Just like the higher dimensional self can split into two physicals, two higher dimensional selves can incarnate into one physical.
Yes, and that is when multiple personalities come through. Sometimes, not always. Well, what happens is one will be the dominant soul, and the other one will be in the background. And then sometimes the souls will switch out. Like this version of the soul is very petite, good at school, eats their vegetables, and then it's like, okay, I had enough of this. And it even leaves the body, and the other soul takes over. And this one's not very good at eating vegetables and not very good at anything.
I've heard that referred to as like walk-ins. Is that like a walk-in, and that is all agreed upon up top also?
There's that also. It doesn't, now you have the same soul that does that, like a soul of yours that just like, it's completely nuts, but it needs this world. But you have to have babies hold its hand through this world. Because, this world is good at, sometimes, good at healing difficulties. But being a better person, being more cleansing, well, depending on the soul, of course. Some just don't listen.
So can we talk a little bit about soul contracts then, which is what,
Yes, please.
it's free will. Um, can you just elaborate a little bit about how soul contracts doesn't really make, the what humans we understand free will as, possible?
Well, it's free will. I mean, for eating, for lifestyle choices, that is where free will lies. If you want to lose weight and no weight is being lost, sometimes the body doesn't want to lose that. So it's like you need that energy, you need that body weight there. You've been super skinny in your past life, it didn't go very well. Remember we told you that you didn't listen. So there's part of that. So there's also there's free will within your contract. It does have limitations though, as many know. I mean, you are free to get into a relationship. It doesn't mean it's going to be the best one. So yeah, free will is not the easiest. It's in the confines of your contract, as you see.
So free will is what an individual is allowed to do in terms of free will is different for everyone. Like, say this person has free will in terms of relationship who they want to be with, but they don't have the free will to choose their career path. And then another person might be like vice versa. And
Well,
etc.
career path, you can still choose whatever you want, but it doesn't mean you'll get it.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to be a movie star, might have it, might not. May want that free will. Yes, the big paychecks, or win the lottery for that matter. Free will is not going so well. Yes, you can play the lottery, but it doesn't mean you're going to win it. So you can get a relationship, doesn't mean it's going to be a good one. So you do have free will in that regard.
The free will of choices, but not free will of the results. In a sense.
Oh, the job. I mean, the free. It depends on your contract. Everyone's different.
Okay.
So with one moment, with the soul is learning about themselves here, really expanding themselves. They just follow their instincts, but some do like some others will say, do this, do that. No, like go to college and stuff. Free will is like, I don't want to. But that doesn't make it a bad thing. Yes, you might have harder choices there, but some can make it work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where free will lasts also. So you can make free will work for you. You just got to be patient and be able to go through the consequences of that decision.
Oh, I see.
And just follow your heart, basically.
And at what level are soul contracts made, and how are they made?
Well, they're made usually several lifetimes before your lifetime here. Some of you have chosen Palladian incarnations to get, or human incarnations somewhere to get used to. Syrian is very popular also. And you bring those vibrations back here with you. It's like, I want to be human, but so go easy on me. I was insectoid many lifetimes before. I don't know what it feels like to have hands anymore. So now some do that, not all do that. So you create this contract, but then you have to kind of like go to boot camp to get ready for it. Like if you want to be a musician, you go to a world where you learn how to be a musician for this world.
Oh.
So some do in spirit, some would rather do it in incarnation. They feel like they learn faster. So it gets them ready for this planet. Even weather, they go to a world that has similar weather to your planet. Not exactly, but to be able to handle heat, cold weather, etc. That's a major one.
Oh,
so, because remember, there are worlds where relationships, everybody loves everyone, and everyone's having a grand old time. Come to this world, you don't really find that.
No.
So, not anymore. Maybe back in the Atlantean days.
Yes, more with Marianne, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Prime Creator. So our whether it be our higher self, whether it be our oversoul, whether it be our astral self, 2, 3, 4, 10 lifetimes prior, soul agreements and soul contracts on the higher dimensional self are making agreements when we come into this physical incarnation. And is it safe to say that even our interpretation of now, future contracts and future agreements are being lined up for future lifetimes? Like our higher dimensional selves are already lining up 4, 5, 6, 10 incarnations, or maybe even more than that, in the future. Is that all what's being done at the higher dimensional self?
Yes, there are also alien versions of you that are active, that are in the future also. So it's like you kind of open up another reality. You connect to a different reality so your alien self can continue. That way you don't bombard them too much. You don't change their reality too much. There's always a future, a past. I mean, obviously there's no time, but for your world, we'll use a time example. You're connecting basically to your alien self of that soul, like your parallel self. It's like this is your Earth self, so you have a parallel alien self that's assisting you. Technically connected to your alien, your guide council, basically. So, even your future self will create a timeline for your past self. So I'm in the future, I can really do some improvements. I can think a little bit more clearly, or I want to be able to fly a ship better or something like that. So if I go create a past life, in this timeline, I know it sounds very strange there, but technically there's no time. Mm-hmm. So you create a timeline on Earth to improve yourself for your future self. So it gets kind of complicated when you think about
it. Yeah. That's cool though.
Wow.
All that is possible.
Mm-hmm.
your future self could be my past self, and they'd be kicking it.
Interesting.
When on vacation, there's so many different realities. There's no one reality. So your energy. So you want to experience everything. Everybody does. Obviously, many like to experience the lower dimensions because it's rare. A world like this is not everywhere. So when they get here, they don't want to leave it, as you can see. So when they cut themselves off the spirit world, they cut it off.
Yes, we've seen.
Yes. Alcoholism usually comes with it. It's like, oh, you cut yourself off from spirit. Here's a beer. That's going to be your best friend until you depart, basically.
That's interesting.
Wow.
That almost turns into a spirit guide, unfortunately.
It's called spirits for a reason.
That or chocolate or food or drugs for that matter. Now, drug addicts are interesting because they do want to connect to their spiritual self, though. Alcoholics, they just want to buzz. But your drug addicts, your cocaine addicts are really ones that want to go back to the spirit world. A lot of them just came from the spirit world and they want to go back. They want that high again.
That's an interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Friend Creator. Do you have any questions before I show some pictures?
No.
Okay. There are a few pictures that I wanted to just discuss for a bit, just to see if kind of get a visual aspect of what we are discussing about.
Yes.
Let me just zoom this in a little bit. Okay. So would this be a fairly accurate depiction of how our Gaia's crystalline grid, and as we go up, human body, higher self, higher dimensional, group conscious oversoul, the angelic realm, and the source, are they really kind of all just blended?
It's yes, it is all blended, but Gaia's energy is a source energy also. She's with source. She's in all. She's like your Oreo cookie. She's a cookie itself, and you guys are the insides, basically.
Yes.
She is the top and bottom of all that. She wants to be involved with everything.
Okay.
All right. Gotcha. Let me see here. I got another picture here. Okay, so this is a depiction. Let's say on the bottom is the physical self. The middle would be the higher self. The top with the rainbow crown would be similar to the soul, oversoul.
Mm-hmm.
It's really more just blended as well.
Yes, but it's usually the human self is normally, like on your world, is totally disconnected. It is not even that connected. That's for those that are more connected to spirit. most of your humans are not connected like that, as you can tell. You know, you can put advertisements and propaganda around them instead. That's what they're connected to instead of their source. They are connected to their source, but they go through propaganda to get to their source. This is why so many have difficulties connecting to their higher selves and guides. Now, not everyone's the same, but quite a few go through propaganda of their corporations, basically, or Illuminati. Like they go to the Illuminati. Is it okay to connect to my guides? They will have them say, no, we are your guides, actually. We run you.
Yes, you can connect to us.
Exactly. And you can probably connect with that. It is, yes, the picture you have there is most of those of you that are connected. But majority of your human is not that way at all. So some have like beer around them instead. Netflix, whatever it might be.
So let's say someone who has a healthy, energetic, kind of going to our video was last week, a healthy, energetic body, no implants, no cracks in the aura, no entity attachments, no astral implants, and they're at a high Bovis unit charge, and all the chakras are open, then they would be in this state.
Well, yes, but also those souls would be, if you had all of that, you'd probably be leaving this world too. It's like, because most humans have some kind of issue here, or you wouldn't have no reason to be here. So everyone has some kind of difficulties. So your human self really has to have a lot of, your challenges.
I see.
What are just challenges? Your challenges, but you need then many of you are open up to your guides and your angels. That's making your challenges a little bit easier or added to, because your social life is not very good if you can't talk about all this. You can't share. So some do get very bitter also. So.
Thank you for that, Prime Creator. I've got a couple other pictures here. This one's kind of similar to the previous one.
Yes.
You know what? I know Archangel Michael in the past has talked about igniting the flame, or the threefold flame, ultraviolet flame. Is this happens on the physical level to connect to all the higher multidimensional selves? Is that is a proper depiction of that?
Yes, it is. The top is your solar self, your higher dimensional self. Is really not a word. I mean, humans make different versions of words of it. There's really no words to any of it. We just know what it is. It is it's an area of bliss. But on this world, basically, that human at the bottom is one that is found peace within their self. So when you find peace, you do find, higher dimensional understanding. So
I see. From this state, is this where the physical human can start to interpret astral communications? Yes. Or when other astral beings are present, or other people's multidimensional selves are present, from this state they can start to pick up psychic abilities, healing abilities, all those things?
Yeah, psychic abilities, as you know, it lives within everyone. It just some they label it differently. They call it intuition, but they don't really call it psychic. Or your average human will tone it down. It's like, yeah, I'm using my psychic abilities, but I don't tell anybody. I'm using my intuition. I'm a mother of 3. I use my psychic abilities. I don't tell anybody. So even children also help a lot of those psychic abilities open up more, because you're using them more, because you want to sense what your kids are doing. You want to make sure that they're safe. So children are essential for growth. It does wake the soul up. Not with everybody, but some do shut down if you're more with kids. Everyone's different.
I see. Thank you for that, Prime Creator. So this is a little bit more of a advanced picture. On the left, let's say the bottom circle, the soul fractals, or what this calls the soul extension. One on the picture on the left, and then like kind of one layer up, the soul. The soul group, and then above that would be the monad. What else is monad been referred to? Is that like a soul group or a soul family at the monad level?
Well, the monad is your spiritual your higher spiritual self, higher self energies. You're above your oversoul, basically.
I see. And
And
and to the
that's
right would
other
be
entities. Yes.
on the circle on the right, looking down would be, so each soul level has their own 12 fractals within it.
It's actually much more than that, but 12's fine.
13, 14, 100, 150.
Millions.
Oh wow.
You're going from a third dimensional point of view. So
Yes.
this will not be able to, this chart won't be enough to handle it, but that's fine
I see.
at this level.
All right, thank you for that. Let's see one more picture
Well,
here.
yes, because look at your expanding. You go from the soul, soul fractals. Say it could go to 12, but then those 12 go to other 12. Each one of those goes to 12. They're all continuing to expand.
So it goes up more levels and it goes down more levels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
You're,
it's a really
you're constantly creating. Yes, it gets very complicated. Now, in the spirit world, it's very easy. In your world, it's not, as you know, many things aren't the easiest to understand.
Yeah, I follow this. Let's see, do I have one more picture? I got one more picture. Yeah, so on this one, towards the bottom where we have the soul and the different P's, would be examples of different parallels
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
through there, and we could be just one of those parallels on the bottom.
Well, you always are. Yes, everyone's always a parallel. Yes.
I see.
And your chart, once again, is simplified for what's really going on.
I gotcha. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll stop the screen share. Any questions?
I have a lot of questions, but I think it'll be a topic for another time.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to hit like a big topic and try to shrink it down. Probably have to hit more videos and more, condensing and throughout future videos.
Well, from Lonnie's perspective, I believe there is at least one question or two that's pressing.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering about the monad. I'm not sure exactly how it works in terms of the higher self and where the monad lays in between. Like, is it like my higher self, my astral self, my oversoul, that soul's self?
It's your soul. It's your source. It's above your oversoul. It's above everything.
And is there just one monad, or are there multiple monads? And if that's
There
the case,
can be.
where is it?
Yes. We don't call it monads, first off. It's kind of a dull name for it, but
I agree.
from this route, it makes sense. Well, you can call it your crystalline self.
Oh, okay.
Your self is energy, multi-dimensional. Of course, all of that's multi-dimensional. Basically, where you are free of all contracts. Because even your oversoul can have contracts.
Oh.
Worlds, it can get quite complicated there. And some love it there. Some, all they see is your oversoul. But there's always above that. And they're not ready to see it. In this dimension, at least. In the spirit world, you see it easily.
And that is what I am referring to as what you would say the crystalline self.
Yes, you're part of you that's here to adult yourself. Adult to a level of just, like I say, supreme being energy. But realize also that can be a being that can be in positive, can be in negative, it can go all over the place.
I see.
So, but you have a balance. It's your balanced self, you can say. Your oversoul isn't always your balance. Like, oversoul is more like your classroom, your school for your incarnations. So that connects you to other realities. So, like I said, this is a perspective. Everyone's going to have their way of looking at things.
Okay.
But your crystalline self is above your oversoul. It is all your foundation. Once again, your God self.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, well, that answers the biggest question I had.
Mhm.
That one. Thank you very much, computer.
Once again,
Any other
everyone's
questions?
going to have different perspectives of it because
Yes.
they only want to go to a certain level. And of course, even what we're speaking of, you can even go higher than that.
Hmm.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
I wonder where it ends, but I don't think
It
I.
doesn't end. It needs to go. So with them giving numbers to dimensions, there's really no infinite numbers. The numbers go on forever.
Wow.
There is no number, basically.
yeah.
Okay. That
Thank,
sounds exciting.
Remember, the world
Exciting.
you're coming from is a third dimension reality. You can only see so much here.
Uh-huh.
So,
yes. Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for that, Prime Creator. I'll just leave it open if there's any other messages on
Or any
the
other
topic.
beings that want to come?
Yeah, for any other messages from Spirit on this topic.
oh, there's other beings? Yes, there is.
Any other beings like to come through with the message?
Sure. All right. Much love. Blessings to you all.
All right.
And there are
Thank you.
orbs in your area, if you notice them.
Okay, is that why I'm feeling like little spikes of pain?
I've been seeing a
here and
bunch
there?
on that side of the
You are
camera.
awakening. Yes, you are. The spirit world wants to speak. It wants to be heard. So,
Okay.
Thank
you.
you, Prime Creator.
Blessings.
greetings to you. We are the Archon angels. Greetings.
Greetings.
Positive
Blessing.
energy. In case people are wondering what an Archon is. We have come from angel source. Now, the Archons on your planet, yes, are here to make life very difficult. They love themselves in third dimensional realities because they can continue to add to it. They slowed it down to make time very slow, to make it very aggravating, because many souls are not learning when things go fast. You can go to plenty of worlds where everything goes fast. So this is why people get so aggravated with this world, because you're used to instant. So this is here to slow down. This is why you have turtles on your planet. But some drivers on your planet that drive very fast, they're used to those fast realities. They love that speed because it's an addiction. But in the higher realms, that's what you are. You're so used to it. Coming to this world, it is very hard to slow down. This is why patience, and of course, there is sometimes too much patience. You wait, and you forget what you're waiting for. And sometimes you're waiting for the wrong things. That's also a life lesson. But the Archon energies that come into your world is to add challenges. So you kind of tell us what your challenges are when you say you're having a problem with your day, such as life is boring. That's your challenge. Time to make it more exciting if you can. Some say I can't. Well, that's your challenge then. If you have any questions, please. That's it. All right.
Yes, thank you, positive Archon angels.
Yes.
So just to wrap my mind around this. So let's say when the higher dimensional selves and the layers of the higher dimensional selves have soul agreements and soul contracts and lessons and tests, come into the physical realm, and it's like all the other lower astral beings, lower archons, all the lower dimensions present themselves through that test or through that challenge.
Yes.
That the person calls in, or the incarnated calls in. So these darker, denser energies just kind of mold and fit themselves in to the individual's incarnation to serve as tests and lessons.
Well, yes.
Am I following correctly?
Yes, you're the beings where you're being tested by. Usually it's parents at first, and sometimes it's relatives. But you already know what you're going to get into. Everybody knows. But it's like, can you survive that? You know, like, you know, if your uncle is not exactly very good at children, as many have experienced on this planet, a relative that is not safe for children. You know that coming in. So when you do get abused, can you survive it? That's the challenge. You know exactly what you're getting into, but also sheds light on that family member too. What's this not? Now, celebrities are going through a lot through this too. Some of that is like character assassination, though. It's not always true. Well, you know your own truth. Know what you're going through. Not worry about the rest of the world.
I see. In that scenario, knowing ahead of time of a of an abuse or something like that, and it sheds light on the uncle, for an example. If it's known prior, or if it's agreed upon prior, is there still a karmic exchange in that moment? Does the
Yes.
uncle or the whatever you want to call it, does that still have a karmic recourse?
Because the family member, uncle, for example, does not have to do those things. They cannot, which would be better. So they have free will. Of course, they choose to do whatever they feel like. But realize the spirit world is always watching. So just because you don't see us doesn't mean we're not here. So when they do these things, so yeah, your world has a lot of growing up to do, as you can see.
So the individual that will put that experience into action and cause a trauma or cause a pain or cause whatever it may be,
yes,
that individual chose to do that, put it into action, and now absorbed a karmic recourse.
Yes, it is also realize when you make these contracts, you're just a spirit energy, loving life, loving existence. Everything's fine. You don't have to worry about paying the air conditioning bill because there is no air conditioning. You have no problems at all. But you add, it's like you see that individual that you know that's been through past lives have been, you know, not exactly the most positive energy. So like, so if I incarnate in them, I'll bring light to what they're doing. I won't like it. It'll be a miserable existence. If I hate myself the rest of my life, whatever it might be, the idea is to survive that event.
Where does
So coming here, you forget all that, which makes it hell. But that's the point.
so where does the positive Archon assist in these experiences? Is it the physical self or somewhere in the higher dimensional selves?
So where we exist, we do assist in the higher dimensions, of course. But we also wanted to say that the soul still has a choice to make this life heaven or hell. Mm-hmm. You can still make this a better place in your mind, no matter the situation. So I guess you can always do better. Everybody can always do better. But it's all in how you look at things. Because the more positive energy you have around you, the easier it is to manifest. Instead of, oh, me, poor me this, poor me that. Which is not easy to come out of because it's a heavy test normally. But it's like, yes, I understand this test, but I also want to bring in a positive connection and just continue that, and it will find itself to you. Because the more the victimness, the more victim you're going to experience. Because part of you wants to experience it. I haven't been a victim on a planet for a long time. What the hell?
I see.
Yeah, I follow. I see a lot of
Yes.
humans in the victimhood with their solar plexus chakra like completely blocked. And if the solar plexus power chakra is blocked, the victimhood lessons present themselves, you know, to that person. Yeah.
Yes. Is there any questions before we?
I do not have any more questions. Thank you.
Yes, we do have another energy. One more that has been. This is going to go in through Ivan's message over time. That a lot of souls here are not fully grown up. Yes, they might be of an age of 30, 40, 50, 60, but many are not really acting that age. Some are very young still. They're not realizing it. So the age that you are, some say I'm 40, I'm 50, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm adult, I'm old. But there's still a childishness there. Nothing wrong with that. But when we tell you about your spiritual self, your alien energies, the child comes in and says none of that exists because that soul has not really grown up. You might be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. Because you got to realize you're just here for, yes, the reason everything is slow is because, once again, fast wasn't working for the souls here. So everything got slowed down. And when the human recognizes the soul and where you come from, that shows the adult is finally coming in. Because the child actually rules. Yes, you might have to go to college, you go to work, but the child is still there. It's not fully grown up. So when you realize your soul and where you come from and multidimensional energies, that is the adult finally, graduating, basically.
Interesting.
Not an easy listen for some.
Yes, for some. Probably not.
Especially when you talk to the 80-year-olds and 9-year-olds, like, you're still a child.
Yes.
And they do act like that, some do. Not all beings are like that.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Thank you for the message.
Yeah, thank you for that positive angel Archon.
So, yes, is there anything else before we leave?
That I don't have any more questions.
And that's it for my questions.
Yes, just this topic can go on and on, basically. This is just touching the surface.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is good. Yes, your higher dimensional self is the perfect self, basically. Well, yes, there's always areas of improvement. But you have to worry about, yes, air conditioning, clothes, buying stuff. You don't do any of that. That's a human thing. So blessings to you all.
Blessings. Thank you so much, Positive Angel.
Blessings.
Hey, Ivan. Welcome back.
Oh wow! I knew this was going to be a big one, and we'll dive more in, and I'll do what I can in my own video.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers you can go into it based on that.
But yeah, I really just wanted the message to be that, a lot of what our challenges are, a lot of what we go through, a lot of the tests, a lot of the lessons, a lot of the challenges with relationships, with family, with jobs, it's all happening up here prior. It's all agreed upon up here prior. The higher dimensional self is lining everything up, every conversation, every circumstance, everything prior to the physical experience of it. That's what we wanted to share.
Well, I'm getting a message, like, it's up to you if you want to. Life challenges, like, where do they come from? That would be a good topic. Financial, like, having certain topics, violence, financial, physical ailments.
I see.
It's up to you if you want to do that or not. So
I was thinking of karmic exchanges because it was
that
brought
too.
up.
That too.
That's very interesting because I feel like people don't understand karma. They understand it a typical way, and I did too, and I'm still learning about karma, so I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, they can dive into that, but it feels like challenges would be a good subject. I don't know if you want to go into that, but
yeah, we can.
Life right
there. Yeah, this was a good one.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Well, I'm just curious about my personal experience this time when we were doing our when I was channeling, we were asking questions. I felt like a lot of pain. Like I felt like a puncture in my cheek or something, like some pain like back of my head. I don't know what it was.
Really?
It was during Prime Creator, like towards the end. Yeah.
Well, I've been seeing a bunch of orbs. We've got.
Yeah, I saw orbs like crazy. Yeah.
We got company.
Okay.
Maybe they're. Well, we'll see what comes through. Maybe we'll do a private session with Ivan.
What do you mean by pain, though? Is it?
It was like I don't know. It was intense. Like, well, not like intense. I can handle pain pretty well, as much as I don't like pain.
That's
But
cool.
like, I don't know. It's just like it's not like a poke. It's like I guess like if my nail was to like, kind of poke into your skin like this.
Really?
Yeah, like just like right here, like where a person's stipple would be, and then like just like some pain pressure here. I don't know what it was. I don't feel like it was anything bad, but like I just don't know what it was. That's
Wait,
weird.
only thing I'm getting is like you need to hear this or something. That was what I'm getting from that. So, something.
You know what?
It was like a notification, like, "Hey, pay attention."
Something like that.
I was paying attention.
I know. Well, it was like pay more attention. Well, I guess
Last
you could say this applies to you. Something like that. I don't know. I think so.
Oh,
in the last video, I got like a big old sharp, like, shot went through
Uh-huh.
my kind of abdomen and through the back, and it was there for a few days.
oh dang.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but there are similar things like that that happen pretty frequent.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's we can discuss
That
more
was the
another
first time, so now I know to pay attention more, like more.
I got another I'm not sure. See how this flies. They even do like a video for Lonnie. Like I don't know, like not a private session, but like what she's connected to or some I don't know. They just said
Oh.
you know what I mean? Like there's
She
another
she is the outlier. She's an example of outlier. We'll have to do a separate thing on Lonnie's.
Yeah, think about it.
I'm open to it. I just think
That's
it's gonna be funny talking to like my goddess self and
Oh,
then
they're
like
coming. They're talking.
rainbow.
Here, put her on the spot. It's like okay. It's not
And
that
my
personal, but
this one.
Yeah, they'll know
Yeah.
what can be shared that's public and
I
what
know,
can be
I
shared.
just think it's just like weird. Like it's like I'm talking to myself, you know.
Well, I've channeled my higher self through Ivan before. I've channeled other people's higher selves through Ivan before.
Okay, I'm open to it. I mean, if the viewers want to see it too, I find it entertaining in a weird way because still I feel like I am talking to myself.
yeah. Well, what I'm getting is like we're just using why as a gimme pig, basically. Because what I'm getting is like other people can do this on their friends, and it's like just what's your story? What's your what's going on here for that you want to make public? Because that wouldn't have came through if she doesn't have something to say. So it's not personal stuff. It's just for the others to learn from.
The being that will come through will know what's permitted and what's not permitted.
I'm not worried about that really. I mean, like literally, it's just
Just interesting.
It's like I feel like I'm looking at the mirror and having a 1 hour conversation with myself, and that mirror replies back.
It's fun. It's
okay, we'll try it. But which one do you get? Do you get the goddess one or rainbow or higher self? Just curious.
Or all the above.
Or I don't know where you
above. They didn't really say who it was. Just say, her energy field has a message for others. They can apply this to themselves. They can look at their friends differently. Just like what is because we're going into more of an advanced reality, even if it doesn't seem like that.
Slowly but surely.
But you know what I mean. It's like we're starting to look at things differently, multidimensionally. So
yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. We can do it. I just gotta go over the fact that I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, think about it. Yeah, something.
Yeah, and yeah, got it. I'll do another video and we'll link it where I'll share some of my experiences on how my multidimensional self is things I've had to learn and teach me. And just to help the viewers and get interpretation, understanding in their experiences.
Yeah, we just scratched the surface. It's like because there's so many different interpretations of this too. Not everybody's gonna agree with one interpretation.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that's it. Looking forward. I didn't see your review yet for Captain Marvel, so did you post one up after you watched it?
I think people are Captain Marveled out, but yeah, maybe I'll work on that one. Okay, as you can find Nick's videos down below, and And that's it for tonight. So thank you guys for being here.
See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Very much, everyone.